The coffee stain spread across Alina's cream blouse like spilled blood. She pressed her portfolio against her chest, hoping to hide the damage as she pushed through the glass doors of the Meridian boutique. The marble floor gleamed under strategic lighting, and the silence felt oppressive. She just needed a bathroom. 5 minutes to salvage this disaster before her career-defining presentation. That's when she saw him. He stood near the evening wear section, his charcoal suit fitting him like second skin, dark hair styled with careless perfection. In his hands, he held a red dress that barely qualified as fabric, all plunging neckline and non-existent hemline. "It's for my executive assistant," he said to the hovering saleswoman, his voice smooth and authoritative. "A bonus gift for her excellent performance." Something ignited in Alina's chest. "You cannot seriously think that's appropriate." The words escaped before she could stop them. The boutique went silent. He turned slowly, gray eyes finding her with laser focus. "Excuse me?" Alina stepped forward, coffee stain forgotten. "That dress. You really think that's a suitable gift for an employee?" "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like harassment gift wrapped in designer fabric." His jaw tightened. "And you are qualified to comment on my business decisions because?" "Because I have functioning eyes and basic human decency." She crossed her arms. "That dress isn't professional appreciation. It's objectification. If you genuinely wanted to reward her work, you'd choose something that respects her as a professional." He set the dress down carefully, giving her his full attention. "You're making quite a lot of assumptions about someone you don't know. I don't need to know you to recognize sexist behavior when I see it." The air between them crackled with tension. Other customers had stopped browsing, watching the confrontation unfold. He took a step closer, invading her space. "You have a lot of opinions for someone who looks like they can't afford a single item in this store." The comment hit its mark, but Alina refused to flinch. "At least I have values that aren't for sale." She pointed to a navy pantsuit on a nearby mannequin. "See that? That's a proper professional gift. Elegant. Empowering. No harassment implications. But I guess you'd need actual respect for women to recognize the difference." They stood locked in a silent battle, his gray eyes searching hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Wrap up the pantsuit instead," he said finally, never breaking eye contact. Alina blinked. She hadn't expected him to concede. He moved closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar and something darker. "Don't mistake this for agreement. I'm simply recognizing the pantsuit has better versatility. Keep telling yourself that." She smiled tightly, then brushed past him toward the restroom. Inside, her hands shook as she locked the door. What had she just done? She'd picked a fight with a stranger in one of the city's most expensive boutiques. Over a dress. But as she worked on the coffee stain, she couldn't shake the memory of those gray eyes or the electric pull she'd felt standing toe-to-toe with him. 20 minutes later, she emerged and hurried into the street, already late. What Alina didn't know was that back in the boutique, Julian Blackwood stood with the wrapped pantsuit, unable to think about anything except her. Her passion. Her fearlessness. The way she'd challenged him like no one had in years. He pulled out his phone. "I need you to find someone for me," he told his head of security. A woman. Mid-20s, brown hair, about 5'6". Stained cream blouse. "She was here 10 minutes ago. I need to know who she is." As he left the boutique, Julian realized something both pleasing and unsettling. He was already looking forward to seeing her again. And Julian Blackwood always got what he wanted. 3 weeks passed. Alina tried to forget the boutique, the man with the gray eyes, the way her pulse had raced during their confrontation. She'd landed the client account despite arriving late and disheveled. Life moved forward. Until the envelope arrived. It appeared on her desk at the design firm, cream-colored and expensive. No return address. Inside, a single card with embossed lettering. Dinner. Friday. 8 p.m. Cielo Restaurant. I promise to behave like someone with basic human decency. JB. Alina's heart hammered. How did he find her? How did he know where she worked? Everything okay? Her coworker Maya leaned over. You look like you've seen a ghost. Just a strange invitation. From who? Alina shook her head, crumpling the card. No one important. But Friday night, she stood outside Cielo Restaurant in a simple black dress, hating herself for coming. She'd told herself it was curiosity. That she needed to tell him to stop stalking her. The lie tasted bitter. He was waiting at a corner table, and seeing him again stole her breath. Same perfect suit. Same devastating face. But this time, when those gray eyes found hers, something vulnerable flickered in them. You came. He stood as she approached. Only to tell you that whatever this is, it needs to stop. Alina remained standing. How did you find me? I have resources. That's not an answer. That's a threat. It's a statement of fact. He pulled out her chair. Please. Sit. 5 minutes. If you still want to leave after that, I won't stop you. Against her better judgment, Alina sat. Julian poured her wine with steady hands. I owe you an apology. For stalking me or for being a sexist boss? A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Both, perhaps. Though for the record, I gave that pantsuit to my assistant. She cried. Said it was the most thoughtful gift she'd ever received from an employer. Alina felt something shift in her chest. I'm glad. You were right. He met her eyes directly. I've spent so long in a world where power is currency that I stopped seeing people. You saw me, though. In that boutique. You saw exactly who I'd become. The honesty in his voice disarmed her. Who are you? She asked quietly. Julian Blackwood. I run Blackwood Technologies. Alina's stomach dropped. She'd confronted Julian Blackwood, tech mogul worth billions, in a boutique. Over a dress. Oh God. Now you're afraid. Now I understand how you found me so easily. She reached for her purse. This was a mistake. His hand shot out, fingers circling her wrist. Not hard. Just enough to stop her. Don't run. Please. The touch sent electricity through her skin. Why? Alina demanded. Why am I here? What do you want from me? Honestly? Julian's thumb traced her pulse point, and she hated how her body responded. I don't know. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. About the way you challenged me. Made me feel human instead of just powerful. So I'm what, a novelty? A ego boost? You're the first person in 5 years who's looked at me and seen something worth confronting instead of something worth using. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something open inside her. This was dangerous territory. He was dangerous. Wealthy, powerful, capable of destroying her career with a phone call. But when he looked at her like that, like she was the only person in the world who mattered, rational thought scattered. I can't afford you, Alina said finally. Not your world. Not your complications. I'm not asking you to afford anything. Julian's grip gentled. I'm asking for a chance. Dinner. Conversation. To prove I'm more than your worst assumptions. She should leave. Every instinct screamed danger. Instead, she settled back in her chair. One dinner. And you answer every question I ask. Honestly. Deal. 3 hours later, the restaurant was preparing to close. They'd talked about everything. His childhood in boarding schools. Her struggle to build a career from nothing. The loneliness of success. The fear of failure. "I should go," Alina said finally, though she didn't move. Julian stood, helping her with her coat. His hands lingered on her shoulders. "Can I see you again?" She turned, and suddenly they were too close, the air thick with unspoken tension. "This is a bad idea." "Probably." His hand came up, fingers brushing her jaw. "But you're here anyway. One question first." Alina's voice barely worked. "Why me? Really?" Julian's eyes darkened. "Because when you looked at me in that boutique, you saw someone who could be better. And I want to be that person. For you." When he kissed her, soft and questioning, Alina felt the last of her resistance crumble. They left the restaurant together, his hand warm in hers. What Alina didn't see was the photographer across the street, camera clicking in the darkness. Or the woman watching from a black car, her expression cold as ice. Julian's ex-wife, Victoria, smiled. Let the games begin. 2 months felt like a lifetime and an instant simultaneously. Alina knew she was falling. She felt it in the way her heart jumped when Julian's name appeared on her phone. In how his penthouse had started to feel like a second home. In the morning she woke tangled in his sheets, his arm heavy across her waist. "I need to tell you something," Julian said one night, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. They lay in his bed, the city glittering beyond floor-to-ceiling windows. Alina turned to face him, studying the tension in his jaw. "That sounds ominous." "My ex-wife, Victoria. She's been circling. Making inquiries about you." Cold dread pooled in Alina's stomach. "Why?" "Because she knows I care about you. And Victoria doesn't like losing. You're divorced. What could she possibly want?" Julian's silence spoke volumes. "Julian. What aren't you telling me?" He sat up, running a hand through his hair. "The divorce isn't finalized. There are complications. Assets. Company shares. She's been dragging it out for 2 years." Alina felt the world tilt. "You're still married. Legally. Not in any way that matters. Except it does matter." She pulled away, wrapping herself in the sheet. "You let me fall for you while you're still tied to someone else. It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Julian? Explain it to me." Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. Then again. And again. Julian's face went pale as he read the messages. "What?" Alina demanded. Wordlessly, he handed her the phone. Photos. Dozens of them. Her and Julian leaving the restaurant that first night. Walking hand in hand through Central Park. Kissing outside her apartment. The images were intimate, damning. The accompanying message was simple. "Meeting. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. My lawyer's office. Come alone, or these go public. V. She's been following us." Alina's voice shook. "From the beginning. I'll handle this." "How? How do you handle someone who has proof we've been together while you're still legally married?" She stood, searching for her clothes. "This could destroy everything. My reputation. My career." Julian grabbed her wrist. "I won't let that happen. You can't control this. You can't buy your way out of this one. Watch me." The certainty in his voice should have been comforting. Instead, it terrified her. The next morning, Julian went to the meeting alone. Alina waited in her apartment, every minute stretching into eternity. When he finally returned, something had changed in his eyes. Something broken. "Tell me," Alina said. Julian poured himself a drink, downed it. She wants the patents. The core technology that built my company. In exchange, she'll destroy the photos and sign the divorce papers. That's billions of dollars. I know. You can't give her that. I can't let her destroy you either. Julian turned, and the raw pain in his face nearly broke her. She knew exactly what to threaten. She knew you'd become the thing I'd burn everything down to protect. Alina felt tears sting her eyes. There has to be another way. There isn't. I've already told my lawyers to prepare the transfer. No. She crossed to him, gripping his arms. You can't sacrifice everything you've built. Not for me. It's not a sacrifice if I choose it willingly. Julian, listen to yourself. She wins. She takes everything, and we're left with nothing but each other. How long before you resent me for that? Something flickered across his face. Too quick to catch. Too painful to miss. You think I'd resent you? I think people always resent the person they had to give up their dreams for. Julian's phone buzzed. Another message. You have 48 hours. Tick-tock. V. He showed Alina the screen, then pulled her close. I need you to trust me. I do trust you. That's what terrifies me. That night, they made love with desperate intensity, as if they could somehow outrun the consequences waiting just beyond the door. But morning came anyway. Alina woke to an empty bed. A note on Julian's pillow. Had to handle something. Back soon. I love you. J. 3 words he'd never said before. 3 words that felt like goodbye. She called him. Voicemail. Texted. No response. Hours passed. Then Maya called. Alina. Turn on the news. Now. With shaking hands, Alina grabbed the remote. Breaking news. Julian Blackwood photographed entering a hotel with Victoria Blackwood late last night. Sources confirm reconciliation talks underway. The screen showed them. Julian's hand on Victoria's back. Her smile triumphant. Him looking at her with an expression Alina recognized. The same one he'd given Alina across that restaurant table. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. He made his choice. The patents stay with Blackwood Technologies. The divorce is cancelled. And you, my dear, never existed. Some men are worth millions. Mine is worth billions. Did you really think you could compete? V. Attached was a video. Julian and Victoria in a hotel suite. Glasses of champagne. His voice clear. This was always going to end this way. I'm sorry I let it go on so long. But the company comes first. It always has. Victoria's reply, sickly sweet. And she really believed you'd give it all up for her? How romantic. Julian's laugh. Cold. Unfamiliar. She was convenient. A distraction. Nothing more. The video ended. Alina dropped the phone, bile rising in her throat. She'd been played. Used. A pawn in their twisted game. Everything had been a lie. The doorbell rang. When she opened it, a courier handed her an envelope. Inside, a check. An obscene amount of money. And a note in Julian's handwriting. For the inconvenience. Consider it a bonus for excellent performance. JB. The same words he'd used in the boutique about his assistant. She'd been right about him all along. Alina sank to the floor, the check crumpling in her fist, and finally let herself shatter. 6 weeks later, Alina had rebuilt her walls brick by brick. She'd thrown herself into work, took on impossible projects, stayed at the office until exhaustion claimed her. The check remained unopened in her desk drawer. She couldn't bring herself to touch it. Maya dragged her to a gallery opening on a Thursday night. "You need to live again," she insisted. Alina went through the motions. Wine. Small talk. Pretending the hollow space in her chest didn't exist. Then she saw her. Victoria Blackwood stood near a sculpture, elegant in white, speaking to a group of admirers. But something was wrong. Dark circles under expertly applied makeup. Trembling hands clutching a wine glass. Their eyes met across the room. Victoria's expression shifted from surprise to something darker. She excused herself, walking straight toward Alina. "We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you." "Then listen." Victoria's voice was low, urgent. "Please. 5 minutes." Against every instinct, Alina followed her to a quiet corner. "I'm dying," Victoria said bluntly. Alina blinked. "What?" "Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. I have maybe 3 months." Victoria's composure cracked. "And I need you to know the truth before I'm gone." "Why would I believe anything you say?" "Because I'm tired of lies. And because Julian is destroying himself, and you're the only one who can stop it." Alina's heart lurched. "I don't care what happens to him." "Yes, you do. That's why you're still here." Victoria set down her glass with shaking hands. "That video. The hotel. It was all staged." The world tilted. "What?" "I forced him into it. I told him if he didn't play along, if he didn't convince you it was all fake, I'd release photos that would destroy you. Not just your reputation. I had evidence fabricated. Financial crimes. Insider trading. Things that would put you in prison." Alina couldn't breathe. "You're lying." "I wish I was." Victoria pulled out her phone, showing Alina documents. Fake but convincing financial records. Email chains manufactured to look like Alina had committed serious crimes. I had lawyers ready to file charges. I had the FBI involved. Julian had 2 choices. Let me destroy you completely, or make you hate him enough to walk away. He chose you. He chose to save you. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I was angry. Bitter. He'd fallen in love with you in a way he never loved me, and I wanted to punish him for it. So I made him choose between your freedom and your heart. Alina sank into a chair, trembling. The patents? He transferred everything. Every patent, every piece of technology. The divorce went through last week. I own half his company now. Victoria's laugh was bitter. And it means nothing. Because I won't be alive long enough to enjoy it. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm dying, and I'm tired of being the villain. Victoria sat beside her. And because he hasn't slept in 6 weeks. Hasn't eaten. He's at his office 20 hours a day, working himself to death. His assistant called me yesterday, begging me to do something. She said he's disappearing. Alina's hands clenched. That's not my problem. Isn't it? You loved him. Maybe you still do. He destroyed me. He saved you. And it destroyed him. Victoria stood slowly. I won't tell you what to do. But I needed you to know the truth. What you do with it is your choice. She started to walk away, then paused. The patents. I'm transferring them back. Putting everything in a trust to return to him after I'm gone. It won't fix what I've broken, but maybe it's a start. Victoria disappeared into the crowd, leaving Alina alone with the truth she'd been running from. Julian had sacrificed everything. Not for his company. For her. Her phone buzzed. An email from an unknown address. Security footage. Time stamped the night of the hotel video. It showed Julian entering alone. Victoria following minutes later with a cameraman. Showed him refusing. Showed Victoria playing something on her phone. His face going white. Then him nodding, defeated. The email had one line. He made me promise not to contact you. But you deserve to know what he gave up. What he's still giving up. Every single day. Alina. His assistant. Alina stood abruptly, leaving the gallery. She ran outside, hailed a cab, gave the driver the address she'd tried so hard to forget. Blackwood Technologies. 40 stories of glass and steel. She talked her way past security, took the elevator to the top floor. Julian's office was dark except for a single desk lamp. He sat hunched over paperwork, looking like a ghost of the man she'd known. Thinner. Exhausted. Destroyed. Julian. He looked up, and the pain in his eyes nearly brought her to her knees. Alina. His voice cracked. You shouldn't be here. Victoria told me everything. He stood slowly. It doesn't matter. It matters. She crossed to him. It all matters. You let me think you betrayed me. You let me hate you. Better hate than prison. You should have told me. We could have fought her together. She had evidence that would have buried you. Real enough to convict. I couldn't take that risk. Julian's hands clenched at his sides. I'd give up everything I own before I let anyone hurt you. You already did. Alina's voice broke. You gave up your company. Your legacy. For me. I'd do it again. He reached for her, then stopped. But I understand if you can't forgive me for lying. For making you think I never cared. That was the one thing I couldn't bear. Watching you hurt. But knowing you were safe made it worth it. Alina closed the distance between them, taking his face in her hands. I love you. And I'm so angry with you for making this choice alone. But I love you. When they kissed, it tasted like salt and relief and coming home. Victoria's dying, Alina whispered against his lips. I know. She's returning the patents. Julian pulled back slightly. She told you that? She's trying to make things right before the end. He rested his forehead against hers. It doesn't change anything. I'd still choose you. I know. That's what terrifies me. And what makes me love you more. They stood wrapped together as dawn broke over the city, two broken people choosing to heal together. But neither of them saw the classified document on Julian's desk. Or the red stamp across the top that read, "Investigation pending." Victoria's fabricated evidence was gone. But real investigators had found something else. Something darker. And they were coming. The FBI arrived at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. Alina woke to pounding on Julian's penthouse door. Armed agents. Warrants. Accusations falling like hammer blows. Money laundering. Corporate espionage. Fraud. But not against Julian. Against Victoria. We have evidence that Mrs. Blackwood has been systematically stealing from Blackwood Technologies for 3 years, the lead agent explained. Funneling money through shell corporations. Selling proprietary technology to overseas competitors. The fabricated evidence against Ms. Carter led us to her real crimes. Julian stood in shock, watching agents search his home. Victoria did this? The cancer is real. But so is the theft. We estimate she's stolen over $200 million. Alina felt sick. She tried to make it right. She's dying. That doesn't erase the crime. The agent handed Julian a file. We need your full cooperation. Testimony. Financial records. Everything. After they left, Julian and Alina sat in stunned silence. I have to testify against her, Julian said finally. She stole from the company. From employees. Their pensions. Healthcare. She put hundreds of families at risk. She's dying, Julian. She has months. I know. His voice broke. But if I don't testify, she faces no consequences. The stolen money never gets returned. And people who trusted me suffer. This will destroy her. She destroyed herself. But Julian's eyes were haunted. I just have to be the one to confirm it. The trial was brutal and swift. Victoria, pale and fragile, sitting in court as evidence mounted. Julian on the stand, voice steady despite the devastation in his eyes. Alina watching from the gallery as the woman who tried to ruin them fell apart. During a recess, Victoria approached them in the hallway. 2 guards flanked her. I deserve this, she said quietly. I know that. Julian stood rigid. Why? Why steal when you had everything? Because I was afraid. Victoria's composure cracked. Afraid of being irrelevant. Of losing. The cancer just made me desperate to matter before I was gone. She looked at Alina. I'm sorry. For everything. I tried to destroy something real because I never had it myself. The money, Alina said. Where is it? Victoria pulled out a folded paper. Bank accounts. Routing numbers. Everything. It's all there. I'll cooperate fully. Return every dollar. She met Julian's eyes. I can't undo the pain. But maybe I can fix the practical damage. The judge was lenient given her cooperation and prognosis. House arrest for her remaining months. Full restitution. The company would survive. But the day after the trial ended, Victoria collapsed. The cancer had accelerated. Days now, not months. Julian went to see her in the hospital. Alina insisted on coming. Victoria lay small and frail in the bed, barely recognizable. You didn't have to come, she whispered. Julian pulled up a chair. Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Tears tracked down her face. For all of it. For never being brave enough to just let you go. I'm sorry too. That our marriage became this. That we hurt each other so badly. You found real love. Victoria looked at Alina. Take care of him. He acts tough, but he's softer than he pretends. I know, Alina said gently. Victoria's breathing rattled. The patents. They're already transferred back. Trust is set up. No conditions. Consider it my last act of decency. Thank you, Julian said, his voice thick. Be happy, Victoria whispered. Both of you. Don't waste time like I did. She died 3 days later with Julian holding one hand and Alina holding the other. 2 months after that, on a quiet morning in Julian's penthouse, Alina stood at the window watching the city wake up. Julian's arms wrapped around her from behind. I was thinking, he said against her hair. Dangerous. I want to start a foundation. Use the patents, the technology, to fund programs for women in business. Scholarships. Mentorship. Protection against workplace harassment. Alina turned in his arms. In Victoria's name? She hurt us. But she also taught us something about second chances. About choosing who you want to become. Julian cupped her face. And I want to spend the rest of my life becoming someone worthy of you. You already are. Then let me keep trying anyway. They stood wrapped together as morning light flooded the room, 2 scarred souls choosing hope over bitterness, love over pain. The boutique where they'd met had closed months ago, replaced by a non-profit helping domestic violence survivors. Sometimes fate collides people together violently. Sometimes it takes tragedy and loss and betrayal to burn away everything false. But sometimes, in the ashes, something true remains. Alina still couldn't afford Julian's world. But she'd learned something more valuable. She didn't need to afford it. She just needed to choose it. And him. Every single day. And Julian, who'd spent his life believing money could buy anything, had learned that the only things worth having couldn't be purchased. Trust. Forgiveness. Love that survived the worst and chose to stay anyway. 6 months later, they married in a small ceremony. No press. No spectacle. Just them and the people who mattered. When Julian slipped the ring on her finger, he whispered, "You made me better." Alina smiled through tears. "You made me braver." They'd both lost so much. Sacrificed pieces of themselves. Carried scars that would never fully fade. But they'd found something neither expected in that boutique confrontation. Someone worth fighting for. Worth suffering for. Worth choosing over and over again. And in the end, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The end.